Hey friends, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I am the TheTranspondster, and this is The Sims 4. I am doing a speed build today. It is my usual go-to type of video, so if you're into that, there is no shame in sending a subscribe my way. Shameless plug right off the bat for myself. This home we are building in Sequoia, which I am basing off of San Francisco a little bit. More specifically, the Bay Area. So, yeah, there's a little bit more of a traditional home feel to this one. Although I would argue that it's a little bit not so traditional because there is a main entrance on both levels in a little way. I do consider the bottom door there the actual front door because that's the level with like the kitchen and living space, whereas upstairs is more of a convenience entrance. It is closer to the bedrooms. However, it does enter into kind of a second living area, so it works itself out, and once we get inside to the actual floor plan, you'll see how it all lays out and makes total sense from the finished perspective. The windows were probably my trickiest part of this build, just trying to figure out the overall vibe that I want within this video, and I think it ended up turning out to be kind of a cutesy suburban feel, which is exactly what it feels like it should be. And I do just use Growing Together as a pack for this build and base game, so it's very download friendly in my opinion. I would think Growing Together is one of the more common packs, at least for my gameplay style. It would be one that I would gravitate towards if I was not focused on checking off all the packs in my checkbook here. But yeah, now we're getting into a little bit more of the floor plan, and because that front room area, I did kind of feel like it would have been an old garage, but because we don't have garages or cars in The Sims, sometimes I roll with that fake garage look and just make it into a hobby room. This build, however, I do end up using that as the main living room, and I really love how it turned out. It gave me a chance to use those arches that come with Growing Together that I almost never use just because they take up so many tiles and it feels awkward to fit into a lot of floor plans. I feel like I like to build a lot of cozy homes so they're not as spacious and there isn't always flexibility to get arches that wide into my builds, which is more than okay because I love that cozy feel too, but it's a nice change of pace to be able to fit that here. There's also something a little weird going on with the outdoor space here. It's separated into 2 yards, and I think hypothetically you could go back and renovate this build and make that garage space a rental unit using for rent, and then you could give them their own yard on the left side, whereas the main home could continue to use the right side as their yard space and entrance and all of that stuff. But yeah, for this space, it is just going to be a single home. Just one family household will dwell here, but the left yard is going to be a dedicated gardening greenhouse area. There's going to be a very small greenhouse with just a few planters added into it to have some plants growing through the winter season, and yeah, just keep that green thumb happy that might live here. I also did some intentional garden beds in the landscaping. I don't usually landscape in this fashion, but it was kind of nice having it laid out and just like a pre-designated spot that I had to fill in with some plants. And I might turn back to this method in the future. I kind of like how it worked, and it made landscaping far less daunting on such a big lot. And landscaping has never been my favorite thing to do, so I always appreciate when it feels less of a challenge to take on. And I do have to admit that these stones did test my patience, because I did have to go and move them all by half a tile, but it was my own doing because I changed my mind in the spacing and where I wanted them laid out. It all comes together in the end like it usually does, so no fret. And it takes a load off of any extra landscaping, because look how much space those fill in. Nice and easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And it was nice and handy to have those 3 tile wide windows that come with growing together, and I think they blend just fine with the base game 2 tile wide window. So this greenhouse really turned out, and like I said, only a couple planters in there, but we bring it outside a little bit more in the summertime. They really go ham with the gardening. And I almost put a debug truck in there, but I changed my mind and just left the space empty, a little pathway up to the home. I think I've maybe put a debug car or truck in 2 or 3 of my builds, if that. It's not something I think of doing often. So if it's something that you guys like as a little touch of detail, mention that in the comments, and I don't mind thinking of it going forward. But yeah, usually not on my radar. The bathroom downstairs was a little awkward to fit in, the 3 tile white space, but we do make it work so your Sims don't have to walk all the way upstairs just to go to the bathroom, which is terribly inconvenient because it takes a lot of in-game time to do that. I pretty much get all the lighting and landscaping out of the way nice and early in this build. It's nice. I just get to focus on decorating at this point, and we're gonna roll right on through it. The touches in this home are a little bit more modern. I have loved this bathtub shower combo since it came out with the Growing Together expansion pack, and I heavily overuse it now in my builds. But yes, I was very happy to have that available. I would say that Growing Together is a really good pack for building, just because it's got more of an updated feel in its style. And like the older packs, like Get Together, as much as I love and rave about that pack, it's just got a lot of maybe more outdated furniture, more of the missionary style of decor, and it hasn't grown with the years, so it's nice to have something newer and fresh to use, and this pack kind of has that feel. So this build was not difficult using just base game and Growing Together. You see, I have a lot of the Growing Together furniture in here, and it pushes me to use some furniture I don't usually use. This couch doesn't have a matching love seat, so I don't use it that often, but I do really like it. And I never use that mailbox light either, just because I think it looks kind of funny, honestly. But you know, my options were limited here, so I used it for the sake of using it, and I don't mind how it looks actually. So that was a little happy surprise. I think the hardest part of this room was picking the coffee table and the night. Why am I calling them all the right, oh my gosh, all the wrong names? What is happening to me? My in-head dictionary just disappeared there for a minute. I'm just gonna give up on that one and move along. I was having trouble picking the tables. Moral of the story, TDLR. I am a little table heavy in this room, but I think that's okay because we just fill it in with some clutter, make it homey. I don't have a family created to live here yet. I might go ahead and do that, but I didn't have any particular people in mind when I made this home. I was just decorating it and having fun this time. Usually I've got like a little bit of a storyline in my head, or, some Sims and color preferences, hobbies to work with. But this was a totally blank slate, and I just rolled with it and saw what happened. And I really love how it turned out. That foyer area is optional to be another living space. I didn't feel like this home needed another living space because when you get upstairs, there is yet again another seating area and like a desk space. So I do decorate it as though there is a young child sim living here, which I guess it could also be a fresh teen sim depending on your gameplay preference, who you want to move in here, or if I end up creating a family, you can download that eventually when I share it and move that family on in here. I love, love, love these new base game counters that we got in a somewhat recent update. I guess it's been out for a little while now, but I am still obsessed with them. They were so needed, so long overdue, and I was so thrilled to see them. I love all the swatches, lots of options with them too. I stayed simple when it came to curtains and just used the same ones all throughout. I do play with color swatches a tiny bit in the bedrooms, but for the most part, they're all pretty white and neutral, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It makes it easy to match in the decor. Oh, oops, look at that. I lied. I made them all blue, which equally match because the walls and window accents are all blue. Even the stairs, like this is definitely a blue Suburban. I also love that halibut update item that wasn't always in the base game, but since it's shown up, I have used the heck out of it, and I'm not complaining. It's such a cute little piece, and those pillows are a nice added touch because it can make like the same couches look different in different builds. So it's nice to have that uniqueness in the game, especially when you build so often and items become so repetitive. I've really been forcing myself to decorate with different colors, and it's forcing me to use swatches I didn't even really know existed in the game, especially if you sort by color. It can be so huge in broadening your horizons of options in The Sims 4. So the more you know. I am definitely a creature of habit though, so I will always fall back into those same furniture patterns that I always do. And again, there is nothing wrong with that. I do think this room is a very cutesy, very girly, but it doesn't mean that the sim child has to be a female sim. This could be a room for anybody, but I definitely got something in mind there while I was decorating, and I rolled with whatever character I was thinking of in the moment. This is the second seating room. I think this of more of a casual seating area. I've got a little gaming system there. I feel like this is where the child would hang out with her friends if they came over for like a sleepover or a hangout, a nice fun space that if I was a kid living here, I would die for this. This is awesome. Like your own little hangout area that you can make yours and feel a little bit like a grown up because you've got like a living room to yourself. Yeah, it's so cool. I also want to make a little mention that I think it's kind of funny that I still kind of default to that family computer setup somewhere in the home, even though that is so not the norm by today's standards. That's just I grew up with a family computer, so now I have it in my head that these homes need family computers, because where else are they going to go play their games? We didn't all have laptops growing up. So yeah, it's crazy how the times change. This is definitely something like that your real life kids would probably just have in their rooms, unless maybe you're screen free or low technology family. I try and be that family, but it doesn't always happen for me. Sometimes that TV is my saving grace, gives me some breathing time here and there, which yeah, I need sometimes. I love how cute that bedroom turned out. It's very light in color, but so is the rest of the upstairs, honestly. Very neutral feeling. But I think that's okay. This family just doesn't have crazy amounts of pops of color throughout this home. I think it's all very cohesive and nicely decorated, though. We are kind of getting close to the end of the finishing touches on the inside. We still have that dining room to get through. This new blanket holder is a new item as well that I think is so cute. A lot of new SDX drops are really coming through for me, and I'm really happy with how we get these little gifts here and there. It's something that's only been done in the last couple years, and I think it was a real come through for EA at the time. I guess it started when they refreshed Spa Day, which I kind of was hoping they'd continue to do pack refreshes, but I guess it doesn't make them enough money to do that. So that's okay. We'll live with our little SDX drops. I find that it got a little vintage there in the dining area. Maybe they've been handed down some dining furniture. I do just use tulle there for a little bit to size that carpet, because I needed in between the one upsized. And yeah, I don't use tulle very often because I like my builds to be able to be edited, if that makes sense. And if you don't have tulle, you won't be able to resize the carpet the same. So that's why I usually don't, but sometimes when I'm fighting with a rug, I will default and use tulle, and I will use it to change the light colors sometimes when I'm building, rather than having to go into live mode and do it there. I stuttered over live a little bit because I had to think, what do I say? Is it live or live mode? But it is in my head live mode, because you live, build, and buy, and they're all in the same tense. So that's why that makes sense to me. And then they are cute little bikes as a family, because the different size bikes come with growing together. So I thought that was a nice little touch. I'm just putting all those finishing touches on the outside, all the seating areas and whatnot, things to do, little decor items. I'm going to start my little wrap-up spiel now, because I know it always sneaks up on me, and I want to make sure I give myself time to say thank you for being here and watching my video. I know that time is valuable, and for you to spend it here on my channel, that does mean something to me. Don't forget to continue showing your support, comment, like, subscribe. All of that helps me in the YouTube algorithm with getting people like yourself to find my videos as well. And yeah, most importantly, have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the screenshots when they come. They will be just right around the corner, so hang on in there. Thanks again. Bye.